It's time for the View in Your Mirror podcast. I'm Katie Harms, and along with Lisa Rubin, we help you check in and curate the best possible you and the best view in your mirror. We share tips, tricks, and strategies from our 35 plus years in our respective industries. We talk about your day from morning to night and everything in between. We share our uniqueness, relish in our shared experiences. Along the way, we share conversation with fabulous people who give us their own thought-provoking insights. So come along as we help you hone the best view in your mirror.
Lisa, guess what? What, Katie? This is very special. Becky, we're with Becky Leffler, and we're in her beautiful store in the Galleria called Sweet Ivy. Sweet Ivy, and it is sweet. It is sweet. We have so many things to talk about. We're doing things a little bit differently, aren't we, Lisa? Because we're not doing an intro.
We are not doing an intro. We're doing it Katie's way today.
We normally do it Katie's way, but besides that.
I can attest to that. I've been watching them prep.
Well, it's the usual, and it's the making of the sausage, right? And it's got to be a little bit like that with the making of this beautiful space. What year did you open the store?
I opened my first store in 2016, actually. A little space in Prior Lake, Minnesota, about 900 square feet.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I had retired from commercial real estate, and I wanted to continue to work, and I had saved up all my favorite things from vacations, like Spartina purses and Scout handbags. And actually, when I did commercial real estate, I did industrial space. So it was black and white, ceiling height, floor load bearing, all man's world type thing. But I had a creative side, and so I would save all these things. And then I thought, it would be so fun to open a store someday. Because I did, in commercial real estate, I managed retail spaces, industrial spaces, office spaces. And so I learned about tenant mix, and I knew location. And so when I would go on these vacations, which were new to me because I grew up, in poverty. So when I was introduced to the ocean, and I remember a day I walked into the Hilton, we were staying at the Hilton on Marco Island, and the colors, the smells, I just thought, this is my happy place. I am so happy here. So we continued to save money. My husband and I didn't have a lot of money at the time. And I just started saving. I bought a purse from Spartina. Every year I went down, I bought a Scout bag, their soaps, Naples soap from down there. And so when I retired, I just thought, well, maybe I'll look for the right location in my little strip of retail or downtown space. And one came up, and my daughter made me push the button to sign the lease. It was $450 a month. And I had no retail experience. I knew business. I knew how to negotiate the lease, tenant improvements, blah, blah, blah. But, so I opened the store in May. I decided to go, and so I pushed the button to open the store in February. I was opening in May. I didn't know that you bought product a year ahead of time for seasons. So I quickly discovered I had no product. So I scraped, I bought things online, and I opened the store. So that was my first store.
We talked a little bit about how you got your beginning and how you came to it. But there's so much more. There's a lifetime that has gone into where you are right now. One of the things that I think is interesting when I first met you, so I kind of want to start there, is you said you would be okay if it all went away tomorrow. If it wasn't successful, you'd be okay.
I would be, yeah. I'm grateful for what I have, but when it leaves, it doesn't define who I am. This store doesn't define who I am. If it doesn't make sense for my family, financially, I am more than just this store.
What a wonderful way to look at it.
That's why she is so great. And she has more than one store, which we're going to talk about. But you get that when you walk in the store. They don't hound you. They let you look. They let you be who you are. And, I found the store because I bring so many clients in here.
Mm-hmm. And it's a little different here for me. I grew up without money, without clothes someday, without food someday. And when someone walks in, I look at them a little different. I'll have, if they need to return something and it's a few days out, or I see that they wore it, it brings me back to when I had to return things for bus fare, right? I mean, this mall is a little different, but sometimes you can see someone and know they're hurting. I want people to leave here feeling good about themselves. That's why I do it. If I do it right, if I train my staff right, this will be a place where people feel safe. Hopefully they can leave feeling good about themselves. I always revert back to a story that a gal came in. She was a little heavier and she was a little timid, and she was going to her high school reunion, and she was looking for something to wear. I could tell she didn't feel good about herself. Everyone knows this, I have a few pair of magic jeans in the store.
You do.
I do. And I had to pay her $10 to try them on. I said, no, $10, get in there. I knew she would look fabulous. And they're stretchy. I was able to give her a little front tuck. And she had little tears in her eyes. I said, now go put some lipstick on and look great. And that made my day. That's why I do this.
You transformed her.
And that's why I do what I do.
Yes.
Every single day. You've watched me with my clients.
Yes.
I can get a little bossy, but at the end of the day, they leave smiling.
Yes.
A little bossy? Oh, sorry. Sorry, I forget. We're doing the podcast.
Bossy in a special way. It's a very special bossy.
Yes. And it's perfect. You wouldn't be you without all of that comes together. And I think that's, in hearing your story and talking at the beginning, is becoming who you were meant to be.
Yes, absolutely.
Becoming who you were meant to be. And some people come at it a little sooner than others. And some people struggle with it their entire life. And some people find it and then lose it and come back to it. And whatever the path is, it's your unique path.
Yes.
So we need to talk about that, because this is your calling, I feel like.
It is my calling. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I have some ADD going. And this is a puzzle. Retail's a puzzle that is different every day. I've learned that. I didn't know that when I opened the door. It keeps my mind going. There's so many aspects of it. And otherwise I would get bored. You know, my husband loves that I have this job because it takes him out of the equation. Like, what are we renovating today? Where are we traveling today? Now it's Becky's going to the store. She's good. Yeah. So it's helped my marriage. It saved my marriage.
And let's also let everyone know that you have 2 more stores now. You have one that's for the holidays, but you have another children's store that is just amazing. You walk in and you just go back to being magical.
Mm.
And I personally have bought some stuff for my grandchildren and baby gifts, but the way it's set up and the way when you walk in, it's not just a store. So how you see your vision for yourself, you can see it in your store.
Thank you.
And I've told this to Katie. You know, I've been doing this 40 years, and I am very careful who I bring in personally with a client into a store. And this is one of the stores in Minnesota that I like to bring someone in with me because it feels good in here.
Thank you.
And to get that is very hard to do.
Thank you.
And you've done a spectacular job doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And your home store that you just opened for the holidays. Oh my God. I just want to have hot chocolates, sit on the bench.
I'd watch people shop. I know. Turn the lights down and look at all the lights. I love it in there.
No, it's amazing.
well, I'm excited. I haven't seen that since I was in earlier, so I'll have to get a little tour of that later. But I have a feeling that's not your only pop-up you're going to do either, right? So depending on when you're listening to this podcast and we're past the holidays,
Right.
you never know. But this store and Little's by Sweet Ivy, which is your children's store, have been here for a while and will continue to be here for people to come into. What we talked about your start. We talked about the start of your career, and you had worked in commercial real estate for quite a while.
Yes.
And retiring from that space. But what do you think was the biggest shift for you to get your mindset around this undertaking, which you really knew nothing about?
Well, it kind of evolved, right? So I had the first store, and then because of my, is it ADD? I don't know. I've been called insatiable before, driven. And so
Let's talk about these words. This is interesting because I find it interesting then that I've often said before, I'm sure I have some ADD, right?
Yeah. No, we know you have ADD.
You are not sure. We know you have it.
Okay, but I have not been diagnosed with
I'm diagnosing you right now.
Okay, Dr. Lisa.
But I love it.
But the point is, it is to that point. Yes, it is part of what makes us who we are. So we're constantly looking for, well, I did that because I'm this, or I did that because I'm this, or it's, I want to get her on the podcast. She said she'd come on the podcast at some point. Nancy Lyons, who I was at a beautiful event that was put on by Blaze Credit Union, talking about bold women. And Nancy Lyons asked this room full of people, how many of you have been told you were a lot or too much when you were younger? And the room full of women, predominantly, everyone raised their hand. And I thought, oh my God, my people. It was such a good feeling because you said it. You worked in a very male-dominated industry starting out. I worked in a male-dominated industry. Lisa, you've always had a sense of exactly where you were supposed to be, I feel like, from early on, and have made that an incredible career. But there's still those words that people will try to use to define you. Insatiable. Is that a bad word? I think it's a great word. But it wasn't used probably in a manner that was supposed to be complimentary.
right. And I get that a lot from people that, like, sometimes I'm afraid to tell people, like some of my closest friends, that I opened up a pop-up because they'll say, I think, I don't know why they aren't supportive of that, of who I am. They see it as a negative thing, like I'm always running, I'm always building, and I've had family come over and say, oh, you're redoing the bathroom, or you got a new mirror, or, you're never happy. You're never satisfied. You're never content.
But do you ever think about that maybe it's because they're jealous of you because they can't do that?
I don't know. I wouldn't go that far.
What's interesting
I
is
think they can't relate to it.
I think that's it. Because I think to go to that thought process of where are they coming from, you can't do anything about where they're coming from.
No, I agree with that. But sometimes, like when I have people talk to me about that exact thing, because, I do clothes, but I'm really a therapist.
Yes.
I think that when people say that to you, in their head, they're thinking, oh my God, that is so overwhelming for me to be able to do a bathroom, 3 stores, and do all this stuff. Like, how does she do that? And then it comes out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really saying.
Right.
Yeah, you almost...
They almost have to apologize for it.
Yeah. And I think getting to the point where you just let that go is giant strides, right? That's where I've had to get personally. Because nobody knows what's going on inside. Nobody knows what you've had to do to get yourself up and out the door in the morning.
Correct.
And
that's for sure.
I think that's the grace that we need to give each other. And that's the lesson. Thank you for your opinion, but how is that helpful to me? Yes,
They wouldn't know how to respond to that, but that's a very good way to respond.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, but not helpful is probably. And I think it puts it back. I don't know. I haven't been great at doing it that way either but I think if you internalize, if you go to that internal point, then you're allowing them to live in your space. And you know what? You don't have time for that. We don't have time for that because look at what you're accomplishing and look at what you're doing. And it matters to, as you said at the beginning of this, the people in your life, if it works for your family, if it works for you, you don't have anyone else that you need to justify anything to.
And going kind of on the same thing, but as I'm listening to both of you and processing, which I do, this space that you created here, when women come shopping, they either come for a purpose or they come for retail therapy. Those are really the two reasons. And if you can make that retail therapy something that they choose, that they wear, and when they look in the mirror, the view in your mirror, like our podcast, and they feel exceptional about who they are, they're going to remember your store and they're going to remember the exact experience they had when they looked in the mirror. Like you talked about the jeans. And I have to tell you that I was at a client's house the other day and we were going through all her clothes. I got a text that she said her closet was schizophrenic and I need to come over and fix it. And I thought that was great. Okay, so we did what I do. And there was a dress in there, and anything that they buy that I didn't buy with them, they're afraid to show me. I'm like, why are you afraid? Like, if you like it, buy it. Like, I'm not the boss of your clothes. And she goes, Lisa, and I saw this dress that she bought in your store. And I said, that dress is fabulous. Where didn't you get that? She goes, oh, I got it at this store in the Galleria called Sweet Ivory. I said, oh my God, it's fantastic. I have not seen that dress, but she bought it last Christmas. And she said, I don't know. I'll put it on for you. And she put it on. I said, that dress is fantastic. She goes, I bought it. I wore it to an event 2 days later. I felt great in it, but I had to show it to you. And I said, wear it again. It's fantastic. Thank you. Her comment to me was, I came in because I needed something and I left smiling. And for a woman to be able to have that experience without someone like me holding their hand or helping them with decisions, to be able to come into a place and feel good when they leave and not feel like, oh my God, why did I buy that? Like, did I buy it because I needed to just buy something today, or am I going to really wear it?
Right.
And I think that this store and how you train your people, they're getting that person to buy stuff that they're actually going to wear.
Yes. And I think, too, the other thing, just going simple experience, is how many times prior to being in this business, if I bought a shirt that I love, but I didn't have the pants or the shoes, and then it sat in my closet.
Right.
So you have 20 pieces that don't make sense together.
Right.
So when we open this store, we shop for the pants, the shirt, the jacket, the shoes, the jewelry. Everything in here is curated. So if you pick out a shirt, I've got 2 pair of shoes if you need it, right?
Right.
You don't have to buy it, but you do that for everyone.
This is a store that you wardrobe.
Yes. Thank you. That's good. I might use that.
Go for it. But that's why I'm here. I'm a wardrobe consultant. I come in here because I can wardrobe my client in this price point.
Nice.
And they're not afraid to look at the tag. They know what the price points are. And so I can leave here and maybe not go to another store. And that's fantastic. Keep doing it. Don't change that.
And it's also helpful, I think, when you can come in and say, oh, I have something like that in my wardrobe. So yeah, that would go great with that.
Exactly.
I would bet that your clientele, too, comes back time and time again. So as you're buying from season to season, you're keeping in mind, well, we had that, so somebody's going to add this to their wardrobe to go with that, or...
Yes.
Right.
And we remember that, too.
Right.
Yeah.
That was one of my questions I have down in my magic book. But we don't have to talk about this now. We can talk about it after. But I want to know, because you do such a good job, is when you do your buys, and you're buying a year in advance, right?
Yep.
Do you use your analytics? It could be in your brain. It doesn't have to be on a spreadsheet. But do you use your analytics to say what people really liked, how it fit, all of that? Because then you don't get left at the end of the season with a bunch of clothes.
Well, I am doing it now. So I finally broke down and thought, okay, we've got the sales part figured out. Now the inventory, and I would say critical thinking and finance is probably my strongest suit. but again, this was going to be a hobby for me. So, I mean, I started out not even knowing what UPC codes were. I didn't know when you bought shoes, there were 12 pairs coming. I mean,
In a box.
In a box.
Case pack.
So, and you could do wide if they came wide.
So when it was, my gross revenue was 400,000 or 500, I mean, I could keep it in my head. I could do that. And now that we're 2 stores at this point, it drives me crazy that we do all this work, we make money, but the bottom line doesn't show it. So I'm like, okay, I got to break down. I got to get into the inventory number. Super heavy. So I hired, my husband and I started a company a while ago. We sold it, but there is a phenom accountant there who I work like this with, and she loves to problem solve. She doesn't know retail at all, but I brought her my Shopify, and I said, we got to dig into the inventory. So that's a great question. So I will tell you on 12/31 if it worked, because this last 6 months is when I implemented. Well, a year ago I implemented coming into this season with hardcore numbers of what sold, what didn't, how many, blah, blah, blah.
And see, that's what I love. Like,
Interesting.
I mean, even with clients, like maybe not the financial, like the numbers part of it, but that's how I, in my brain, work with my clients in their closet.
Interesting.
And so I
Say
think
more about that.
I know I've never said it like that before, have I?
Yeah, no.
So when I'm looking at a closet for a client and they're my client and I really help them full bore, I look at the inventory of their pants, their jackets, their shirts, all of the things that they wear on a day-to-day basis and what they tell me they're most comfortable in. And so when I replace those things or I have to add things, I think about basically their inventory. And if they're a person that doesn't like to wear dresses, but yet they're going to a gala, they're going to an event, but they're not a dress person, that is part of their inventory. And I'm not going to sit and push a dress on them if they're not comfortable in a dress. I'm going to find that pantsuit. I'm going to find those silky pants. If they tell me that they can't wear heels for whatever reason, that's part of their inventory. I'm not going to go show them a shoe that I absolutely love that will fit in their wardrobe if they can't wear it.
Right. Makes sense.
And I think maybe, I'm having an epiphany right now, but I think maybe after all these years,
It's on tape, both video and audio. Keep going.
no, but I think that actually that's what's kept me doing what I do for this long, because that is actually how I approach a client's wardrobe. And I just put that like that for the first time.
So it's analytical. It's not
very
emotional.
Not for me.
Right.
It is for my client,
Yep.
but those emotional pieces are part of my analytics.
Mm-hmm.
Because like some clients, I know that when they put blue on, their face just lights up. So when I'm finding things in their inventory, I make sure that I'm pulling in those blues. I'm telling some of my secret sauce now. But anyways, but then when I walk into a store like this and I'm with a certain client and, your people are so lovely and they try to help me and I'm just like, no. And I know what I need to do. Well, you've seen it happen.
Oh, yeah.
And I know, and I'm like, can I get in the back room?
You're a little different than the average customer that comes in.
But I have that inventory in my head.
Yes.
And I know my customer. I know what they're willing to buy. And I only show them that.
Right. And that's why your customer has you, because they know you've had clients for 40 years, for crying out loud. So they know, so your secret sauce is what
I just put that all together for the very first time.
That's pretty incredible. Do you, Becky, when you have clients come in, your repeat clients, do you tend to see the same type of people that'll start coming in based on what you're buying, or?
Well, sure. I mean, I have most of my clients are older. Let's say they're 30 to 75, honestly. But 35 to 55 is probably my sweet spot here. And they're a classic girl who wants something maybe a little different. So I'm trying to introduce, a little wider leg pant. I've got, I'm an old gal, and I shopped really hard for some old gal faux leather pants.
And
look
I
good.
have mine on too.
And you have yours on too.
This is the only wide leg pant I own in my closet. By the way, I wear them all the time.
Yeah.
And I know that these wide leg pants in a couple years are not going to be in style. So like I tell people, don't buy 10 pairs. Buy 1, 2, or 3 that you absolutely love. Wear them all the time. And that's okay.
And I honestly, I feel like I can tell, I don't know about you girls, but I mean, at our age, if I can say this, but our chest size.
We talk about boobs all the
talk
time.
about boobs all the time.
Well, the boobs don't stop growing, right? So I get so many gals with great shapes, and I suffer from this too, that, I feel like I don't want to be booby in an outfit, but if you wear a micro flare, it balances that out. You don't enter a room like it just, the silhouette is fantastic. So if a girl comes in here and wants straight leg jeans, I'm not your girl. I like a micro flare or even a wide. I wore a pair of wide pants the other day, but of course I used to wear them when I was little. Loved them. So yeah, so that's our deal. And I shop when I go on a shopping. Everyone wants to go to market with me. Everyone, and I'm like, no, nobody's coming to market except people that can be, my 2 girls come, and myself, and we all vote. If 2 love it, great. If 1 loves it, no. We've got, and then I know I'm blah, blah, blah.
You're on a mission. I know. No, this is the kind of stuff that is fascinating and people want to hear. So keep talking.
Yeah. So I will get something very conservative because that's my client base. And then my daughter would say, well, what if we did this with it? Now it's way more youthful, very classic. Doesn't look like you're trying too hard, but you're on trend. And we're like, yes, we nailed it. Or super classic, but a cool pair of shoes to go with it. And then, so I have that in here. If you want to do an outfit like this and have a awesome pair of shoes or cowboy boots, it's a different look, but you still have that classic look up on top, right? So that's how we shop.
And you do a good job with it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think going to market, I think the people that want to come is because they think they get to look at all sorts of pretty things, and how fun is that? And you're literally on a mission.
On a mission. We're exhausted.
You are.
And I understand that because my mom ran, I think it was over 30 pro shops for Marvin Wolfenson and Harvey Ratner at Northwest Tennis Club. My mom was in charge of all the pro shops. So from the time that I could put little tags on the clothes and she went to market, I went with her on many occasions as I got older. So that concept for me, I grew up with. And then when I was at Dayton's in my earlier years, a lot of the buyers from the Oval Room, because I am me, and I was very vocal on what executive women needed, because I knew right from the get-go that's what I wanted to do. And so 2 of the buyers would take me to their market buys. Now, in those days, they didn't go to New York because it was Dayton Hudson. Everyone came to them up on the, I don't know, it was the 10th or 11th floor, and they did a 2-day production. So I would sit with the buyers, and because I understood what that meant. It wasn't like, oh, that's really cute. Yeah, you should buy that. And I would say, no, that wrap dress, I think it's great, but you should do it in this color and this color. You should go up to this size. You should put a button here. You should do a tie here. And in those days, they could do that because they bought large volume.
I see.
And then one buyer would say, Lisa, are you really going to sell that? I go, before it gets on the floor, do it the way I asked. I will sell every single one of those. So like I understood that. And going to market is hard.
It's very hard.
I mean, that's the money that's going to go in your pocket.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. And you're off 10% of $3 million, a ton of money.
It's a ton of money.
Yeah.
It's a ton of money. And, we should talk about that. I was on the other side of that. I was a wholesale rep for a number of years with showrooms in Chicago and then showrooms in Dallas. And so I saw you coming in the door, and we would sit with the lines and have those conversations and what you were selecting and all of that. And so you have scheduled appointments at certain times. You've got work to do, you get it done, and you're on to the next one. And you're right. If you make a mistake, or if you're not buying the right size for the clients that you have in your store, then you're left with inventory afterwards that something's got to happen to that.
Right.
So what's your cycle like? When you bring clothes in, you're bringing them in, and they're going to be, what would you give yourself as a grade on how you've been doing so far in buying? And
Well, up to the first 6 months of 2024 were probably my worst that I've done in buying. And probably my fault, because I do fall in love with things. And at the end of the day, if I love it enough, I'm like, I don't care. I'll sell it for half. I don't care. I'll bring it home. And my girls are like, stop. And I'm like, no, I'm kind of like you. I'll sell it. So part of that was a discipline thing for me. And I hired my accountant, and my girls and I now go into market less emotional and more disciplined. And we know that, and we had to come to Jesus. We know that money will provide opportunities for us, opportunities to give my girls increases, in salary.
and
Corporate
talk about
event.
who your girls are that are involved in the business with you.
Well, my girls are my staff.
Okay.
I'm talking about all of them. Oh, yeah. I'm talking. We do. Last year, I gave them all a fabulous fur, and then we went to a concert, and I hired a photographer, and we did a really bougie deal, and they're like family here. I just love them. But I had a rah-rah meeting for holiday the other day, and I got out my profit and loss statement. I mean, I share my numbers with my girls, and I showed them how much 5% of waste goes. I mean, I would rather give that to charity than have it lay in the back floor there. I'm just saying, I know if we do it right and we all do it together, the money will be there, and the money will provide opportunities for us. If we, like right now, I would love to find a location in Naples, Florida, and I have an idea for down there, but getting a location down there, but you never know when the phone, and I'm of the, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I have put out the word down there. I'm a very faithful girl. If God wants a location down there, it'll happen. But I have to be prepared financially to do it and move when that call comes in. So I'm hoping, I've been in business 8 years. If you can drive sales, I've got the sales going on. I've got to get all those expenses in between, biggest one being inventory. I got to do better at that.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk about your faith and how that's brought you to where you are. So, okay, hang on. No.
You are invited to make your way to a beautifully inventive and delightful store in the Galleria called Sweet Ivy. Becky Leffler's inspiration for the store comes from her vacations in Marco Island, where she relished in the sensory delights, intoxicating aromas, vivid colors, and exquisite products in the local gift shops. She has gone on to curate a beautiful selection of apparel, shoes, accessories, and gifts born of her love for unique products and her unwavering belief in her vision, brought to life and cared for by a fabulous staff. Feminine, chic, pieces that will elevate and stay in your wardrobe for years to come. Brands like Tyler Bow from Rhode Island, Spartina 449, and Magic Pants by Lise. Not to be forgotten is Littles by Sweet Ivy, their predominantly children's store and home to Barefoot Dreams, which you need to experience. Give yourself the gift of this store in the Galleria. Shop Sweet Ivy. ShopSweetIvy.com.
Something occurs to me, and I've talked about this before. I really believe that you can break people down very easily in one category. You're either a person of abundance or a person of scarcity. And as I hear you talking about where you come from, and you mentioned that you had to sell clothes to buy bus fare.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to go back and talk about how you got to this place. You clearly have a heart for giving. Retail is not an easy business. It takes a lot of foresight. And however you got to this place here, but now you're almost backfilling with not even the skills, because you've had these mad skills all the way. They've just all come together. It's hard to even describe just hearing you. But talk me through how you got to this place of abundance
from such scarcity.
Such scarcity.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do, when I reflect on it, I can see clearly how God had his hand on my life the whole time. I didn't know it at the time, and I think a lot of people can reflect and say, oh, that hardship, God had me, or that great thing, I can see it now clearly. At the time, it's not very easy. You're going through it and you're fighting it, but we grew up, I didn't know how poor we were. When I left, I wanted to be an attorney, and I was at the top of my class in high school, and my counselors were like, what do you mean you're not going to college? I'm like, I don't know. What do you mean? What do you mean? I mean, I guess my parents didn't go to college. My parents were divorced. There was some abuse going on. We didn't have money for clothes and food. And so I just thought, well, if I can't be an attorney, this is my thought process, I'll be a court reporter and I'll marry an attorney. So I thought, okay, that'll work. So I came down to here, went to Minnesota School of Business. I had never been out of Duluth when I was 18. My parents dropped me off at the first apartment complex. I had to take 2 buses to get downtown. I didn't know I could catch a bus at Marquette Avenue, so I caught it on Hennepin. I didn't know all the bus deals worked. So I worked at the school that I went to. I blew through my classes. You have to go 200 to 25 words a minute. They came to me at the last minute and said, you're short $500 to graduate. And I didn't know anyone in the world with $500. So God's hand on me, I went and got a job thinking I'll make enough money and go back to school and finish. But then I got my first real estate job, and I climbed the ladder and I put myself through school, and I learned so much about finance, taxes, construction. I mean, the full gamut. I mean, that was a huge blessing on my life.
Did you have a mentor that stepped in, or several?
Not so much, no.
We just were very aware of what was going on. You really were studying.
Yes.
This was on-the-job training.
Yeah, on-the-job training, and then I put myself through school, different credentials, and that's how I got here. But I was driven. I wanted to, I didn't want to be embarrassed about my clothes, which is funny because.
No, it's not funny. That's why you're doing what you're doing.
But now I have them all, and I dress like a tomboy. I mean, I wore a bra today.
You wore a bra today. Well, I'm very happy about that because you don't know me very well, but if you don't have the right bra, it's a problem.
Let's see. That would be podcast number. We've talked about that multiple times.
Therapy number.
Exactly. In the first, yeah. So in this other career that you had, which I love because I think so many threads of that gave you what the kind of the hard skills that you needed. The retail part has been the easy part, the hard skills that you got coming up.
Yes.
I don't mean to make light. It's not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but having those things. So you talked a little bit to us about some anxiety.
Yes.
And I think that's important to talk about. As women, we had a full-on phenomenal conversation about the anxiety that one goes through and experiences. And that's a big part of your story.
So I think when I started in real estate, I was kind of an underdog. I didn't take what I was doing and how I was growing that serious. But when I got pretty good at it and I was promoted several times, I started to get anxiety, and I actually suffer from social phobia tremendously. It was paralyzing. I felt like I was in bondage. I woke up every day. And when I say chains and bondage, I would wake up every day and I'm like, who do I have to be? Okay, got to get my kids to school. I have to be nice to those people. And then I have to go and be hardcore here. And then I have to do a presentation. And then I have to have lunch with the neighbor ladies who will talk about the price of beef. I have no idea what that is. And then I would even go so far, okay, am I wearing a power suit today? I had no idea who I really was. I was being something for everyone. And after a while, it became paralyzing to me. And especially when I was at the top of my career in real estate, the expectations that I would do a wonderful presentation because, I sold 10 buildings that year. Of course, she can do a presentation. I actually had to quit my job and start my own business so that I could control what people needed of me. I could not go on. It came to the point where I couldn't answer the phone because I didn't know what they would ask. And I didn't know if I would have a panic attack. So, it was debilitating. And I felt like I was smart enough to fix it myself. So I did all these self-help books. I went to therapy. And I always went to church. And I knew that the word peace was in the Bible over 300 times. And I was driving down the road from my house to the grocery store. And I had not experienced one day of peace in my life. And I cried out to God, okay? So I'm trying to do it myself for all these years. I made one request to God and said, I can't live like this anymore. And I call it the Holy Spirit, and I've had peace every day since then, every day. Like I could never have thought of doing this podcast. Oh my gosh. I wouldn't have done it. I would have gotten physically sick. I would get physically sick watching my children sing on stage. It was bad. It was really bad. And now I'm free and I'm happy and I'm making other people happy. And it's what I was born to do is this.
It's your calling. It's my copy. And I'm happy that we met you. Let's call it on the other side because you smile. And I always said to Katie, you're just so positive and you always find a solution.
Well, and I think, too, what you were saying, too, however people get there, for you, your strong faith, and whatever that looks like for people, whatever their relationship is with their spiritual, you got there.
I got there. For you, it worked, yeah.
And that is incredibly powerful. And what you've done with that, if you just take a moment and look at all the threads, maybe it takes us coming in here and saying, those threads all got you to here. And what's so interesting is threads are in garments. And so
I was just going to say, like, Katie,
to this place.
I literally was just going to say that. You have all the threads in your space.
You have them all, and you're weaving, to continue on with that, you're weaving these relationships for people. You're weaving relationships for the people who come into your employ, who become part of your extended family. What an incredible, we have a lot of opportunities to shop online. And you can shop online for your store as well. But if you want to be able to have that retail experience, you need to make your way here. Yeah, it really is.
And a children's store.
And the children's store. And the pop-up.
Lisa has a grandbaby.
That's right. Me too. Yes. I think that's the key too. And that's why I said to Lisa, we need to do this podcast from in the store. There is an energy here that transcends it being a store where you can buy something.
And this is not my comfortable space to do something like this live. Katie knows that. But I agreed to it right away.
That's right. As long as we were before the store opened. No, I'm kidding. Favorite lines. Let's talk about some of the lines here. Thank you for sharing your story. I think as successful women, it is so important that other people know it's not a clear path to success or whatever anyone determines their success to be. And there are so many different options. If you would have done this differently back then, who knows if you would have married the same person,
exactly,
had children you had, whatever. So whatever your path is the path you were meant to be on.
That's right.
So, and that's brought you here.
And nobody does it right the first time.
Isn't that the truth?
All the time. Yeah. I say that all the time. Because if you did it right the first time, you wouldn't do it again.
Correct.
And you learn the best from the things that don't go well. I think we are the only species, though, that doesn't learn from the first time. to do something again. We just have to try. Let's talk about some of the incredible staff that you have.
My girls.
Yes.
So my daughter Abby is, she's actually the vendor representative for many of my lines here. So my top lines. So she came second, though. She was in logistics, and there was an opening for a rep for the Midwest area for all my top lines. And I knew she would be perfect. She's a logistics, guru, and she knows the brands, and she helped me with all my social media, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, she got the job. So she helps me with my inventory here. Like E. Newton over there is probably my top seller in the store. It's a beautiful jewelry line, and it's blowing up nationally. She will come in and say, oh, you need 10 of these, 20 of these, so I don't have to manage that inventory. That's helpful for me. She does the same thing with Barefoot Dreams. When you go over to the lodge, our Christmas lodge, Lodge 25, most of the lines in there are hers. So we always carry them here, but for fourth quarter to put in, 10 fur coats in here and all the Barefoot Dreams, it's just hard to display that fourth quarter line. So when you go down to that store, you'll see most of it's there. So she'll do the inventory part for me over there too. And she will hit me straight with a million things, and I love that about her. I don't, it's hard to offend me at this point in my life. And then my daughter-in-law, Dana, she is, when you see most of the displays and when you go over to the lodge store to take a look, she's a merchandising. No one can merchandise like her.
I can do it
in about 10 minutes.
But she tells a story. When you walk into your stores, she tells the story through the way she displays her merchandise.
Yes.
That is
It's a gift.
gift. A lot of stores can't do that.
Skill.
And gift. Skill and gift.
Right. Yeah.
But she, I think she probably doesn't realize what she's doing, but it tells a story.
Oh, yeah, she probably doesn't. But we all do different things. We all have different strengths, and we all appreciate that about each other. If I say something to Dana, she goes, that's not a good idea. I'm like, probably not, but I want to do it anyway. She doesn't get offended. She goes, yeah, you're the boss. Go for it. And Abby, she'll say anything she wants to anyway. She doesn't get offended. And then I do have another piece to the puzzle. And my son is engaged to a sweet girl. Her name is Elizabeth. And she is a graphic design gal.
How kind of him to pick someone that could integrate into the business.
I know. And she loves fashion. And she has a big job. But I said, Liz, I'm not going to have you do this stuff for free. But if you think about all those things that for me are paralyzing, and Dana, my daughter-in-law, and Abby, my daughter, they do not have that skill set at all. But to do the business cards, the signage, the logo, the pixels, when I want to do an ad in Minneapolis St. Paul magazine, you're spending $3,000. It's got to be perfect. I can see a really great ad. I can't do it. She can do it. And
That's great.
So I told her, I said, start your own little business. You can take some side jobs as you can, and I can pay you what you should be getting paid. You can get a new computer that you need. Let's do that. So I helped her start that little business on the side. And now, fourth quarter especially, she is running big time for me. And she's also helping with our website. So
that's fantastic.
Was a great addition.
I think as I'm sitting here listening to you are an attractor of what needs to come to you at the right times as you're building this up. That's a really lovely place to be for you, is to be able to have that attraction to the things that will continue to advance you and those that are around you.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
Yep.
You've mentioned some of the brands, Barefoot Dreams. I can't talk about it because my girls listen to the podcast and then they'll know what they're getting for Christmas.
As they should.
They already do.
Yeah. I bought a set the last time I was in of Barefoot Dreams, and honest to God, I can't wait to put it on when I get home.
I tell people that. Yep.
It's incredible.
It's an incredible brand. It's one of Oprah's favorites, whether that means anything to you or not. But I just have to say, and the Kardashians blew up the brand. Take it for what it's worth. But the fact of the matter is we get no returns at holiday. If you want to buy someone a gift that they will call you about in a year and say, I can't believe I lived without this, it's Barefoot Dreams.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I was with somebody yesterday, and she was talking about what she wants to do, like instead of family pajamas, for Christmas. I said, but go to your store and get Barefoot Dreams. So here's my question. Does it come from newborn all the way up to adult so that you can get Barefoot Dreams for everybody?
Yes.
Men too?
Men too, but I don't carry men. We just don't have room.
It's fine.
You know where you should get it? Or I've been trying to get Martin Patrick to carry the men's line.
Oh, sure.
Martin Patrick, you need to carry the men's line. I'm doing it for my daughter.
Thought about that.
I also I already got that going. And then
I've already been talking to Todd about a few things for her. Yeah.
But it's a great fourth quarter. It's a fourth quarter item how many shackets can one guy have? How many butt gowns,
And speaking in retail terms, fourth quarter is coming into Christmas.
Yes.
So, at your pop-up for the holidays, the lodge, you don't have men's Barefoot Dreams.
I do not. I have robes. I have unisex robes.
Okay.
But that's exactly what our holiday has become. Instead of matching pajamas for everyone, we do matching loungewear. Or I should say, Dean and I give matching loungewear to everyone. That's sort of become the tradition.
To you, too.
So, yes, I'm very excited. That was the first thing I said when I put the Barefoot Dreams on is, I got Christmas all figured out. So I'm going to have that on that for sure. What else? Some of the other brands that...
Tyler Bow is between Tyler Bow and Spartina. Those are my next two top apparel lines. And Tyler Bow, I found them at one of the shows in Atlanta. I ended up finding out that the wife of the ownership went to design school at Madison, Wisconsin. Kidding me all. No, so I get a lot of her friends in because I'm the top retailer of that brand here. But it is a beautiful brand for us women. So there's a little more room in the button downs for the boobs. We talked about that. And there's a little more room. You're wearing Tyler Bow.
I am wearing Tyler Bow.
Yep. So they have faux leather that fits us girls. It doesn't look like we're trying too hard. I love the brand.
And can we talk price points? Are you okay talking price points?
Yeah,
because
for sure.
Somebody, they're sitting there thinking, I think I might like to go in there. You're not breaking the bank.
So Tribal is probably the line I have the one is most affordable. Okay, moderately priced, so you can get. And I carry Dylan too, a little bit of Dylan. And they by True Rith, right? So those price points maybe start at $90 for a blouse and go up to $139. Okay, Tyler Bow, Spartina, between $120 and $280. Okay, depending on if you're getting a coat, a winter piece, short sleeve T-shirt. And then I do carry Fabulous Furs, an incredible line, 35-year-old company, self-made woman in Kentucky, started in her basement when faux fur wasn't a thing.
Right.
She didn't like real fur, so she was bound and determined to make one. She's got a great story if anyone wants to ever look into her. Nordstrom carries a little bit of fab fur, but I carry the full line because my daughter sells it to me.
Oh, perfect. Well, and
it's great, though, because they have home stuff.
I had one over here
Remember I said when I came in and she was unpacking the box, I was in the back room that day, and I'm like, oh my God, Katie will love that. Didn't I say that? I did say that.
Hey, let me say, I'm thrilled you two are shopping.
Exactly. I know. I'm like, can we finish up here so I can go? You know what? We are going to finish up here, and with the recommendation to anyone who's listening to find your way here, because it really is just such a lovely experience. And thank you for sharing your story, and
you're welcome.
Letting us know a little bit of who you are. And
thank you.
I feel like I've been given my shot of positivity for the week.
Oh, wonderful.
And I look forward to all good things to come for you.
Well, thank you.
As you build this.
I appreciate it.
We'll switch gears really quickly, and we're going to talk about our nonprofit.
Okay.
Which Hope Chest is selected. And tell me how you came to that.
Well, my cousin, my first cousin and her mother both died of cancer. My cousin at a really early age. And, sorry, it's just
Okay.
I just thought I met the gal who started Hope Chest. It is for the in-between costs as someone's going through treatment. So it's for rent for the month. It's for groceries. It's for a ride to treatment. It's for daycare for those kids. And growing up with a single mom, who had to take a bus to work, I can see that single mom going through treatment. I mean, a single mom in an ordinary life without, financial problems. But then I see a single mom with financial problems. She's overwhelmed. She's overloaded. And then she's got breast cancer. I mean, how does she do? And so at the end of the year, I'll box up all my extra clothes. And that's sometimes I don't care if I get inventory exactly right, because do I need that last coat? No. Does she? Yes. So I'll box up all my extra inventories, and then occasionally I'll see some of my staff going, well, and I'm like, no, you could have bought it at 50% off. Now it's going to Hope Chest. And no one goes in the boxes after I pack all those. And now I get to do that for the babies too. So I'm excited about that. So, and then, when we close the lodge up, and do not wait for the end of the year sale to shop the lodge. Shout out. But we'll go there in February, and I'm thinking, and of course, this is not the demographics for maybe that girl who needs it, but maybe there is one or two. I don't know. But we'll do a great sale there, and someone will get a fabulous coat. And here's the other thing that's so funny. I have people working for me who grew up in muffs, and they don't get nervous about the pricing. Like when someone gets $1,000 and they're putting on the third coat, I get nervous. I'm thinking, okay, am I getting punked? Is the credit card going to go through? I'm living my old life when I ring up someone. And these girls are happy to sell someone a fourth coat for $300. And I'm going, really? Do you want to, spread out that spend? I see that when I work with these girls who grew up with money, and I didn't. I'm thinking, oh.
Yeah. Well, old tapes are hard to change.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And yet that's the balance that you have. You've surrounded yourself with, obviously, people who have the skills to do what needs to be done. But going back to wrap up Hope Chest in a nice package.
Did it right.
I love what you said about you get to do that. You get to give that gift to them. And then that goes out and once again and helps so many other people. That's just such a lovely place. And it's hopechest.com will get you to that Hope Chest. They are a 501c3 though, as we know. Yeah. So to be able to donate and support them in such a important gift of what they do for those that are dealing with cancer. So thank you for that, Chisholm. All right. If people give us your hours, tell us how people find you online.
We're shopsweetivy.com. We're at the Galleria next to Vineyard Vines, my second favorite store. And we're open from 10 to 7, Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6 on Sunday. We'll have holiday hours coming up right after Thanksgiving. We'll be open till 8. What else? We're having an event on December 12th. It's a glam. It's a trunk show for Fabulous Furs. It's a trunk show for Winifred. You'll be able to come and buy one-offs. And then all our staff will be dressed in holiday wear. So that'll be a really fun event.
Fantastic. Lisa, any closing thoughts for you?
Well, keep doing what you're doing and keep being who you are.
Thank you.
Because it's really great, and you're taking retail to the level that I like to see.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think this is a special place, and I'm so glad it's found your way to her. If you need any more information on us, you can go to theviewinyourmirror.com, and you can find more information. You know where our hearts are. We want to start shopping. We want to get at it. So you can find all our past episodes, and we just want you to be the best version of yourself. And places like Sweet Ivy will certainly help you do that. But in the meantime, make sure you look in your mirror and you tell yourself you are the best you of anyone. Until next time.